Malasana is an exercise that the explanation behind what mala means is actually more important than the asana itself. A mala is a rosary of the yogi. You know what a rosary is? In Korea you see the Buddhists with these, you see people on the subway or in the street, those beads that go through the fingers. You have in Catholicism you have rosaries, Muslims have them too, yogis have them too, but they're very long for a yogi. While normally most Buddhist and Christian and Muslim rosaries are short, the yogi's rosary contains 108 beads. Why 108? 108 has some kind of magical meaning in Buddhism. There are many rituals that consist out of 108 movements or repetitions, also in martial arts. But the mala for the yogi, why do you use a rosary? For prayer, right? But what is the purpose of prayer? When you understand what the mala is for, you understand what the true purpose is of the rosary in all religions and cultures. It's about activating the crown chakra. With every bead going through your fingers, you recall a superlative. Something impressive, something big, something amazing. Something that causes a wow feeling in you. Now this sounds very childish, but it is a very powerful tool that leads to Samadhi. A wow feeling is rajas. Now what does it do when you see something very impressive? Like the first time you go to Paris and you see the Eiffel Tower and you stand at the base of the tower and you look up and you say, wow. Like a little child, you know. Most adults have lost this ability, not realizing how sad it is that they have lost. They think it's childish. When I go to Amsterdam, I always go through what is called the Amsterdam Forest. It's on the outskirts between the airport and the city. It's a man-made forest, but it's quite big. It's a huge forest park where people go to for leisure time. And there is an oak tree there that was probably already there before they made the park. That is old and huge, and it's what gives me a wow feeling. The tree trunk is so enormous, and then the branches of the tree are so big, they are bigger than other trees in the park. Each of the branches is so thick in circumference. So for me, I'm just looking at it and I feel the enormity of it, the age of it. It's just very impressive. And I know how this works, so I soak it up, I allow it. And I look for it. I walk in the park, I see little butterflies in spring going from one flower to another. I admire them. People say it's childish, but it's very powerful. The first snow, every time when I'm in a class and I see the first snow, I'm impressed by that. And I say, wow, look, it's snowing. Almost every time my students say, you're being so childish. And it is an opportunity to explain that it's not childish at all. It's a very powerful tool to let energy rise up. Samadhi exists out of 4 steps. Samadhi is the highest form of meditation. It's sheer contemplation. We have moments of Samadhi in an uncontrolled way when we end up daydreaming. Just coincidentally, at some point of the day, we find ourselves daydreaming. And how does that feel? It feels wonderful. But it's also very fragile, because the moment that you think you're daydreaming, it's gone. But while you are daydreaming, you're in a zone. You're timeless. You're infinite. You're contemplating. The first step in Samadhi is vichara. That is rajas. And I mentioned it before. If you look at the structure of yoga, what most people do not see is that everything in yoga, every new technique, it always starts with rajas. Pranayama did that. Asana does that. Mudra does that too. And meditation, Samadhi, no different. Rajas. Vichara is joy. It sounds strange, but joy is spiritual. Because it leads to energy rising up. The first step in Samadhi is simply immersing yourself in a deep sense of joy. And I use this big tree. You build up your meditation. You start with pranayama. Then you have a mudra. Then you do samadhi. So when you arrive at samadhi, you're already meditating for 50 minutes or so. So this happens when you have longer meditations than we are already doing. The next step is ananda. Remember what ananda means? Love, bliss, which is tamas. But not tamas in the negative sense, but sattva with a little bit of tamas. What does it do? It opens the heart, big time. Yogis on the highest level have ananda in their name. Swami Yoga Anand Saraswati. It is an indication of the level they have reached. It's one of the highest levels in yoga, that the heart is wide open. Vichara is rajas, but based on a firm basis of sattva. Sattva with a little, it's like ice cream. You have, the basis is vanilla, you add chocolate to give it a chocolate flavor, you add strawberry to give it a strawberry. So our basis is sattva, you add rajas with wow, with joy, you have vichara. So first you go up, then ananda, bliss, sheer love, opening the heart, which is a representative of the crown chakra. Then you go to the next step, that is vitarka, which is a dynamic part of samadhi. In vitarka, you have created a deeply contemplative mood with vitarka, with the first two steps. You end up in vitarka, where you actively solve a problem. And you have to decide before you start with your meditation what you are going to do in vitarka. You build the condition for contemplation with the first two steps. In vitarka, we contemplate a complex issue. Vitarka we used to call the helicopter view. So you're not thinking of an issue, you're hovering above it. After you have built up your meditation, you end up with Vitarka, you insert the issue that you want to contemplate on today. There can be a scientific question, there can be a conflict that you're dealing with, there can be a practical issue. You're renovating your house and you have to find a solution for something that you ran into. You do that in contemplation. You insert the issue that you want to contemplate on, and instead of mentally approaching it, you hover above it and you try to see it from all its directions. You try to touch the essence of what you're dealing with. And the moment that you succeed in the essence, touching the essence of it, it's not a problem anymore. The moment you see the essence, the solution presents itself. That is Vitarka. The last step is Asmita. That's a little bit more complicated to explain. But here you are totally one with the universe. In religion, they would call it you're totally one with God. You're not aware anymore of yourself, your ego, your physical body. You become totally connected with the environment, with the universe, with everything that is around you. People, plants, animals alike. Now, this is very difficult to describe. It's something that you will experience at some point when you have a deeper meditation. But this for the level that we are here at, the level of this course, we never explain Samadhi, but it's very interesting to know how this works, because you can apply this in daily life situations. Like I used a big tree or the biggest dump truck in the world. Have you ever seen the biggest dump truck in the world? That is not a dump truck that you see in a construction site here. It's like 10 times bigger. They use them in the mining industry. And one bucket load of such a truck is like 400,000 kilos. And if you stand next to the tire is 2 or 3 times bigger than you. And it has an engine that normally is being used in ships. So I'm a boy, I like toys. I just think of the biggest dump truck in the world and I think, oh my goodness, wow. Vichara. Something out of nature, a tree or something, just anything that you really find impressive. Ananda, go to a playground and see children playing. That really touches me, that really opens my heart. The innocence, the playfulness, the you know, or in the park, seeing how nature changes with the seasons and the little birds fluttering around, doing their thing. That works for me, for Ananda. Or, you know, my dogs, which I basically rescued based on this principle, opening my heart to them, connecting the dots and giving them what they need. A Vitarka is something that you maybe already do, but without doing it on purpose. You learn throughout your education to reflect on issues. So you're already doing this, but not in a controlled way. So this is the controlled way. Then Asmita is the state that you end up towards the end of your meditation. When everything becomes one, you become one with everything and everything becomes one with you. Literally, Ashmi means I am. but I am in the sense of being part of the whole. Now when you look at it, and this is how it is often presented also by teachers who know about Samadhi, most don't, they're very mysterious about it and they can't give you insight in how it works, is really, it's based on this simple principle. Cherish these sentiments in your life, knowing that it elevates your spirit. It looks very static, but actually this is a natural process. It's a very dynamic process that flows over from one stage into another. You just start with joy deliberately because you control the process. You have to start with rajas and then come down a little bit with tamas, and then vitarka, contemplating a problem, is just a natural consequence of that. And if you sit long enough on your cushion in your meditation, you may end up in ashmita, the most difficult stage of samadhi. This is how samadhi works, the highest stage in meditation in yoga. So, malasana, how does it work? You put your feet together, you crouch low, but you spread your knees so that your upper body sinks between your thighs, and then you try to wrap your arms around your back. And believe it or not, I used to be able to join my hands. I think there's a mile in between them now. But I suspect that maybe Iman is able to join the hands behind the back. If possible, I was not able to do it. If possible, you keep the heels on the floor. If you can. I can't. After 40 years of doing malasana, the heels just don't go lower. It's just a limitation. That's it. So, Sabrina, for you, you can stay like that, the way that I do it also. Balancing on the balls of the feet and trying to go low. If you can't put your hands around the legs, you just use your hands to steady yourself. You try to extend the spine and balance on the balls of the feet like that. Let the force of gravity just do the rest of the work.